What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to discuss the issue of whether or not I feel you should buy a Nintendo Switch here in 2021. This Switch has been out for 4 years now and there's just so much surrounding it, and I'm going to talk about whether or not I feel it is still worth purchasing at this time. But if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you're subscribed for more videos like this in the future. Let's get into it. Now, like I said, we are going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch, not the Nintendo Switch Lite. That will be a separate video in its own, and then I will also make a video comparing the two systems. And this has pretty much become a annual thing for me. I have talked about in the last couple years why you should buy a Nintendo Switch, and it's just something that I feel I can talk about every year, because every year, you know, more games come out or things change, things get announced. And I felt it was especially important this year because of the rumors of a Nintendo Switch Pro announcement. So I felt like this was very much a interesting topic because of the potential release of a new Switch model entirely. So, should you buy a Nintendo Switch? It depends. It very much depends at this point because of the Switch Pro. Now, when you think about a Nintendo Switch, you think about all the exclusive games, you know, things like Pokemon, things like Zelda, things like Mario, that kind of stuff. Animal Crossing, Miitopia is a new one that's really good. There's just tons of actual Switch exclusive games that you can't play anywhere else because Nintendo is awesome and has fantastic exclusives, and that is what you think about. However, outside of just that fantastic catalog of Nintendo exclusives, the Nintendo Switch has actually been getting a ton of third-party support. As of late, there's things like Doom Eternal that has come out on the Nintendo Switch. There's things like Apex Legends, Fortnite, a bunch of free games, and a bunch of other third-party titles are all also available on the Nintendo Switch, which this increases the reason to actually get a Nintendo Switch, because if you don't have a console right now, the buy-in price for a Nintendo Switch is only $300. Now, this could change if a Nintendo Switch Pro releases later this year. But right now, this is one of the cheaper consoles on the market, which is fantastic, especially when you go ahead and look at things like the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 that run $500 a pop. This is a pretty compelling piece of hardware right here. And I think that the incredible library and support that this system gets makes that even stronger a case, and why you should get this over maybe one of the more powerful consoles that are currently available. So there are a ton of things like that in terms of the games. However, there are just a bunch of other benefits when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. For example, the new consoles, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, they have internal storages. Yes, you can get external storages, but it's kind of a pain and not all the benefits work. Like, for example, with the Series X and S, the special memory card that uses the Xbox Velocity stuff, that costs an extra $200 on top of everything, versus the Nintendo Switch, which I can say only comes with a small internal memory at 32 gigabytes, but you can buy an SD card, a micro SD, and put it in the Nintendo Switch for very, very cheap and have tons of room for all your games. Not to mention that not every game that you buy needs to be installed on the system. As long as you buy physical copies of the game, all that information is on the game cartridge, and all that you're going to be installing are game updates and save files. That is it. So that saves a lot of room on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a lot less pricey to increase your storage on the Nintendo Switch, which I think is just a huge benefit, especially in this age where a lot of games are only releasing digitally. For example, Doom Eternal is exclusively available on the Nintendo Switch in a digital format. It is not available in a physical format. So that's another perk of the Nintendo Switch, is just the fact that it is very cheap and inexpensive to increase your storage capacity. The main thing that sells the Switch, the main thing, is obviously the fact that it is in my hand right now, and I could go ahead and press the power button and I could play my Nintendo Switch handheld. This is a huge thing for the Switch as a selling point. It's the main reason I play a lot of games on the Nintendo Switch, is the fact that this particular system is both handheld and it is available as a home console as well, which is freaking awesome. Being able to slide this into the dock and play it, or just take it on the go with you, is fantastic. Now, this is different from the Switch Lite. The Switch Lite does not have this. Switch Lite is exclusively handheld, but this particular model goes back and forth, and you're able to play either docked or handheld. And this is huge because now you can take games on the go with you, whether it be, you know, Skyrim or The Witcher or Apex Legends, stuff like that. As long as you have internet connection, you can play all your multiplayer games on the go with you at someone else's house. You know, it makes it very, very easy to take your games with you, and that is a fantastic selling point. I love playing this in handheld mode, on my couch, in my bed, all that stuff. I love the just portability of this system. Now, I will say that it is obviously not as powerful as the other consoles on the market. This is something that is a negative. It's a con in terms of certain games. Some games look fantastic on the Nintendo Switch and have zero problems running. They just work. However, other games like, for example, The Outer Worlds on Nintendo Switch just don't seem to run as well. In The Witcher, games like that, they run and they're playable on the Nintendo Switch, but they kind of have a gritty nature to, and they have been downgraded to a point that they actually still work on the system. Now, there are other games that are very big that still work on the system. For example, Warframe is a huge game on Nintendo Switch, and it actually looks fantastic. So certain games, just depends on who ports the games over, will look better than others. And that is one downside. If you're someone that is into the graphics or into looking at just great fidelity, the Switch might not be your system. Now, all the Nintendo first-party games look fantastic. That is just because Nintendo knows how to work their system. But third-party games, it can be hit or miss on the system. All the games play and all the games run, but it's not anything fantastic. Like I said, it's hit or miss. All the games will run, but they may not be the best version of that particular game. Other downsides to the Nintendo Switch are the big things like online. The online access for this sucks. Like, it's not like Xbox Live, and it's not like PlayStation Network. Having friends list is hard. There's no actual in-game party chat. Like, you can't have a party with your friends on your friends list like you can on Xbox and PlayStation. If you want to do that, you have to use the Nintendo Switch app that is on your mobile phone, and that's really stupid and clunky. There's no achievements and things like that. So if you're into achievement hunting and that kind of stuff, the Switch might not be for you. Aside from that, the online works for the most part. You can actually get an adapter as well for your Nintendo Switch dock that you can then plug into a router and have better internet access and be wired in. But all in all, the online aspect of the Nintendo Switch is a little bit rough. Now, the big thing with this year, and the reason I really wanted to make this video again, is that there are rumors of the Nintendo Switch Pro coming. It's pretty much all but confirmed by Nintendo that this thing is coming either late this year around the holidays or early next year. And that leads to, should you buy the current Nintendo Switch model? Yes and no, okay? It just depends on your situation, like I said earlier in this video. If you really want to play the Nintendo Switch, if you really, really want these games and you absolutely can't wait, this runs pretty great. You really can't complain too much. The new Switch is likely going to have better screen. It's likely going to have a better internal graphics card. It's going to be just a bit more powerful, probably be able to run a higher resolution than this particular Switch, but there's very minimal chance that there is going to be exclusive games or that the new Switch will run games that can't run on this. It just doesn't make much sense when the Nintendo Switch has as large an install base as this particular system does. For example, there will likely be games that will run better on the Nintendo Switch Pro or whatever they decide to call it, and they will have better resolutions and frame rates and things like that. But I don't believe that they would simply say, no, you can't play it on your old Switch. So in my opinion, if you cannot wait to play Nintendo Switch games, if you just want them so badly, go ahead and buy one of these bad boys. But if you're one of those people that's like, maybe I'd play Mario Kart and maybe I'd hop into that Breath of the Wild game, then you could probably wait. I would suggest waiting and get the more powerful console a little bit later on. That is just my opinion. I personally will be upgrading my Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch Pro whenever that eventually comes out. But that is pretty much all I have for this video, guys, on if you should buy the Nintendo Switch or not in 2021. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. If you found this video entertaining and helpful, leave a like and smash the subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. Be sure to check out the Discord where people are over there playing games all the time, and check me out over on Twitch, TikTok, and all my other social medias if you're interested in keeping up with me, this channel, stream, or anything like that. Like I said, that's it for this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.